Joburg's mayor has pulled the plug on Soweto's free electricity. Mpho Phalatse says people must start paying for the power they use. Some Soweto residents claim they've been without electricity for months due to poor infrastructure. Well, Eskom says it disconnected supply because of illegal connections. Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee member Trevor Ngwane joins us now for a conversation on this and a whole lot more. Trevor Ngwane, so there's this crisis playing itself out. It's been a crisis playing itself out across Soweto, but I guess it's been dramatized by the events and the protests around Diepkloof Zone 3 in the last few days. Mpho Phalatse says, unfortunately, this is the situation we are in where, it costs money to bring electricity, and therefore, if we have to disconnect people to get them to pay, so be it. Trevor Ngwane, just your reaction to what the mayor of Joburg, Mpho Phalatse, has been saying about how to deal with this particular crisis.
Thank you, Julia Sizwe. What is disgusting is that this is coming so close after the local government elections. So the impression in the eyes of the masses is that these parties, they canvassed for our votes. They promised to help solve our electricity problems. But as soon as they become mayors, as soon as they assume their positions, they start to attack us. So that is one thing which is not very good from the point of view of democracy in South Africa.
But you will have Eskom saying that some of these processes actually started way before the elections, that all along you've known there have been instances where, for instance, they made arrangements with some residents to say, look, let's agree on payment terms and you'll be able to pay, and those were not honored. So it's been an ongoing kind of process, and this is where we are now, where action needs to be taken. Surely you will agree that people need to pay for the electricity they use.
People need to pay for electricity they use when they have the money to pay. So what we need in South Africa is affordable electricity. We also need mechanisms to cater for the poorest of the poor. More than that, we need a reliable supply of electricity. So it's not very encouraging that once every day for 2 hours or for 3 hours, there is no electricity, whether you pay or not. This is the situation in black working class townships, Thulasizwe, is what we call energy racism, where, black townships, shack settlements, villages, have to live with an inconsistent supply of energy.
There are a few phenomena that have been pointed out by Eskom in the last while that I would like you to help me understand. For instance, as you are talking about, people that can't afford to pay, naturally, I don't think you'll find anyone who disagrees that a mechanism should be worked out for those who can't afford to pay to be assisted, to be able to afford energy. Well, Eskom tells us, and the city of Joburg tells us that they've got such a scheme where you can apply, indigent households can apply for free basic electricity, but it's not being taken up. And in their theory, the reason for that is that for you to access that, you need to be paying for your electricity. And therefore, once you are formally paying within the system, not cutting corners, not shortchanging the system, you then qualify for this free electricity benefit. And they're telling us that the uptake is not great. Why do you believe that is? If people can't afford to pay for electricity, genuinely want to pay but can't afford, why are they not taking up this offer from Eskom?
The average household of 4 uses 300 to 400 units of electricity per month. These are kilowatt hour. But the free basic service, the free basic electricity in Johannesburg is only 50 kilowatt hour. So obviously it doesn't help. It's a drop in the ocean. Secondly, this free basic electricity scheme is taking a retreat now, because originally every South African was said to be entitled to a free amount of basic electricity and a free basic amount of water. But under Mayor Mashaba in Johannesburg Metro, who was still with the DA, he scrapped that and said, if you want free basic electricity, we have to register as an indigent. So the DA took away what the people of Johannesburg had. And then lastly, the indigency policy, the procedure, it's administratively a nightmare. And also it's demeaning, because you have to go there and declare your poverty, including people coming to your house to see what cost is your furniture. So people don't respond well to such schemes.
I see. Lastly, let's talk about this idea of this whole concept of reconnection fees, Trevor Ngwane. They are standard, are they not? If you get disconnected anyway, for instance, in a municipality like the city of Joburg, there is a fee attached to reconnection. And I imagine that that fee probably is a bit higher if in the process, in your disconnection, there's also the suggestion that you tampered with the meter, that you've been purchasing electricity through what they're calling ghost vendors. So what's your response around this reconnection fee, which is at the heart of the current situation playing itself out in Diepkloof, for example, where Eskom wants people, about 700 households, to pay each about 6,000 rand to be reconnected?
Well, 6,000 rand is too much for many residents. There is no doubt about that. Whether they're employed or unemployed, whether they are receiving a social grant, as a pension or a child grant. So that's point one. Point two, it's got an aspect of collective punishment, because remember, now, it's one thing when they cut you off individually in your household, Tulasiso. It's another when they, there's a power failure to the whole of Zone 3 and Zone 4 in Diepkloof, whether you pay or not. And then they turn around and say, if you want to be reconnected, you must pay 6,000 rand. It's also got an aspect of poor communication strategy on the part of Eskom, because, they give so many different reasons for these power failures. It's confusing the people. They say one thing to the media, they say another to the people. As a result, people are getting frustrated, and it's worse when the mayor of Johannesburg throws the gauntlet, provoking the people so that the people must get angry and fight back to justify sending in the JMPD and the police to use harsh methods against the people, which is what is happening today in Diepkloof.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and your insights. Dr. Trevor Ngwane is and has been for quite some time with the Soweto Electricity Crisis Committee, weighing in there around the situation playing itself out in Diepkloof Zone 3 in Soweto around the payment of electricity, as well as the comments, of course, of the new mayor of Joburg, Mpho Phalatse.